Rolling record camera 1.
Okay, so we're just gonna start with
the life I was living as a homeless, drug-addicted female. I was either going to overdose or I was going to be killed. From such a young age, I remember feeling anxious, feeling anxiety about performing, doing things, thinking I had to be the best. And when I wasn't, it just felt like I was a failure. I started using alcohol to cope when I was pretty young, and I didn't drink like other kids. I would drink to black out. The consequences of my alcohol use followed me through my teens, through college, and into adulthood. The drinking would continue to ebb and flow, and for a time, food would take the place of alcohol. I met a very nice man in my 20s, and we ended up getting married, and that's really when the dependence on food increased, and we wanted to have a family, and I couldn't get pregnant. The doctor said, really, it's your weight. And so I decided to have weight loss surgery. I started to lose weight, but my ability to use food as my coping mechanism was taken from me. And so I started to drink again. And quickly that got out of control, like it does. I went into a treatment center, and I met a man, and this man was a lifelong meth and heroin addict. And in the moment, he made me feel so beautiful, and I hadn't felt that way in so long. So I left my husband, I left the treatment center, and I ran off with him. And if that wasn't bad enough, heroin came in shortly thereafter. Because of the life I had built in my sobriety, financially I was able to support my habit and this man's habit for quite a while. Often before my feet even hit the floor, I was using drugs. That's all you do. You use drugs, you waste some time, you go get more drugs. It was just a cycle of nothingness. Eventually, as you can imagine, the money, it ran out. And this man who I thought, well, at least he and I will be broken together forever, he was gone too. And for the better part of the year, I lived on the streets. And so I had to do all sorts of unspeakable things just to put a roof over my head, but to support my drug addiction as well, because I was in so deep at this point that I couldn't go a day without using drugs. I found myself in a hotel room with a bunch of other addicts. I was sitting on a bed, I remember, and I watched a girl across from me sitting in a chair shoot up first. And instantly she, what we call, nodded out. And I remember having the thought of, this must be really strong. And by this time, I didn't care. I didn't care. I pushed in the plunger. And the next thing I remember, I was laying on the floor. It sounded like I was underwater. My ears were doing kind of that womp womp. And when I was able to sit up and get back into the bed, what I was told was that I had overdosed. I think I rested my head for a couple hours, and the very next morning, I begged and I said, can I just have a little bit more? And I just to take the edge off, just to feel better. And I shot up again, a much smaller amount, but I shot up again the very same heroin that had just about taken my life 6 hours prior. What ended up happening was that we stopped at some person's house. I mean, these are all people, I don't even know them, you know, it's just you bounce around from person to person. We had stopped at some person's house, and I had taken a shower. I was standing in the shower in some stranger's house, and there was just, it was almost this audible voice that was like, enough, enough, enough. And I got out of the shower and I called my parents. And so I said, please, just one night. And so my dad picked me up outside of a Caribou Coffee. I had a small duffel bag and a backpack with everything I owned in it. And I climbed into his car, and I'm pretty sure I fell asleep before we even left the parking lot of that coffee shop. My dad said, what are you gonna do now? I said, I think there's a long-term program at Teen Challenge. Maybe I should call there and see if I could go there next. And so I did. And I was greeted with just open arms, a love that I had never experienced from complete strangers before. This message of, we don't care what you've done, you are loved, you are worthy, you are so important. Through meetings with the chaplains, through the classes, through the unconditional love that I received from the staff that worked with us day to day, I started to see Jesus in them, and my faith just grew. I did my fifth step with my chaplain, which is an opportunity to literally lay all your sins out on the table and let another person hear them and release them. And so I had written everything down that I wanted to share. It was every bad thing I could remember that I had done, and I shared them all with my chaplain. And then we went out to the courtyard and we put them in the fire pit and we lit them on fire. Immediately from that moment, I got in a van and we went out to the lake and I was baptized. I almost felt like I still had the smoke from my sins on me. And I got into the lake and they were washed clean. And coming up from the lake, I just thought, it's gone. This is my new life now. I am forgiven of everything I've done. I am worthy. I am whole. I am a daughter of the King. So after I graduated from the long-term program at Teen Challenge, I went to Teen Challenge Leadership Institute, which is the ministry school that you can go to following the program. It was there that I met my husband, who also went through MMTC. He went through the program in Rochester. It was a different kind of love than I'd ever known before. It was a different kind of commitment, dating a man who also knew Jesus. A Teen Challenge staff member married us, and we built a family. I'm a mom. We have a 2-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son, and they are the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Yeah.
They really are.
I know. My life is so different today. I've had a complete change in who I am, how I think, how I show up, my heart. And that's because Jesus is everything in our life. The love that I needed and the love that I've been searching for so long, through other people, through drugs, through food, through all of it, there was only one place I was going to be able to find that. That was the love of Jesus.